Q4 is here, and this is one of the biggest times of the year for Amazon sellers and e-commerce sellers of all types. And there are a lot of misconceptions about Q4, so this is definitely going to be an important video for you. And just one real quick little announcement. If you are just getting started with Amazon or potentially starting your business, I created a free training recently, and you can check that out. It'll be the first link in the description. It will help you get started with selling on Amazon. And full disclosure, there is a special offer at the end of it. And no joke, this is something very crazy that I'm going to have to shut down in a couple of weeks. So check that out if you are interested in getting started. Okay, so starting off, if you don't know what Q4 is, it means quarter four, the fourth quarter of the year. That's what it means technically. I'll get into that in a second. So it's referring to October, November, December. Those 3 months out of the 12 months make up the last and fourth quarter of the year. And the reason that Amazon sellers and e-commerce sellers talk about Q4 is because that's holiday shopping, and sales might be going like this all year long and then shoot through the roof 2x, 3x, 10x, 50x, depends what your product is, of course, but it's a huge time of the year that is a huge opportunity for sellers to really cash in. You know, there are seasonal businesses built entirely around Christmas or other holidays, but it is definitely something that needs to be part of your overall equation and strategy. And so you need to be aware and prepared for how you are going to cope with this, how you're going to maximize it, what you're going to watch out for. And those are the tips that I am going to be getting into. The first sort of misconception here about Q4 is that it does technically mean October, November, December, but we're really talking about a quite narrow period of time. For me in my business, and will vary for you, you know, depending on what products you offer and sort of like seasonality, but October is always one of the worst times of the entire year for me. And my theory is it's kind of after school has got back in, and, you know, people are kind of waiting for Black Friday sales, and there's kind of this lull in my experience. So even though it's considered Q4, October is not Q4 in quotes, like what people mean when they say Q4. And it really doesn't even start at the beginning of November either. It really kicks off Black Friday. For me, see almost no bump before that. Maybe the days leading into it, depending if the deals are extended outside of the Black Friday range. But for me, it's really Black Friday is what kicks it off. And this year, it's not until November 29th, because Thanksgiving is late in the month, just because of the days of the week and how that aligns with the month. And so really, we're talking about November 29th through about December 21st or so, which is when the last orders will get in for Christmas deliveries. So we're honestly talking about less than 30 days of Q4 as we think about it. And if you're just now realizing that Q4 could be 10x and you don't have the inventory, you're not prepared, don't worry, I'll still get into some of those tips and strategies that you can utilize to maximize this time. But if you're well prepared, then you know that this is already a little bit of a late announcement, because most of your Q4 preparation has to come quite earlier, because you want your goods already in stock by right now, because Amazon gets really bogged down and backed up with loading new inventory into stock this time of year when it is so crazy. So you really want to have everything in the latest November 1st, really earlier and well into the beginning of October, to just be fully safe. But the bulk of the preparation is a matter of getting inventory and knowing what to expect. Now, one key thing is, how do you know if your product is going to go sell exactly the same as it usually does a typical month, all the way up to some crazy thing? And in my experience, really the best data you'll have for each product is the prior year's history, which is maybe not the best way of predicting the future before you know it, but it is the best way of predicting based on data that you already have, because every product is a little different. You know, if you are selling something that is just totally regular, not giftable, something that is just a utility. If you're selling light bulbs, it's probably not going to be an insane Q4. Now, if you're selling Christmas decorations, it might be 100x from your typical month, because maybe you're selling 1 unit a month and now you sell, 2,000 sets of Christmas lights or something like that. That'd be more than 100x, but you get the idea. There's everything in between. So you have to think about how giftable your product is, and what happened last year is honestly the best way to sort of gauge for, am I going for 2x inventory, 5x inventory, 10x inventory? What do I need to prepare for? And I've seen quite a few Q4s now as I've been selling on Amazon for years, and I've seen it evolve and change. So let me touch on some of those things, because it really has shifted. See, several years ago, nobody really had Q4 strategies. So I was finding it was much easier to cut through and really blast and go crazy, put out some offer and just maximize. Now, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Christmas sales, there's a lot of people going hard. So if you don't have a strategy, not a lot might happen just because it's Q4. Not saying it won't. Some products absolutely do just take fire because of their nature, the fact that they're giftable, the fact that they're a great product and people are talking about it. It does happen. But if you don't have a pretty sound strategy for Q4, you can't just expect it to happen on its own. Whereas honestly, that would happen because nobody was ready. So one thing you'll absolutely want to try is schedule your lightning deals. It's already booked for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Those are way out in advance, but you should still be able to lock in slots for the main holiday season if you're looking at this right now, and it's worth a shot, absolutely. This is definitely an area where it was different a few years ago. Probably because there were just less deals overall, so each deal got more visibility, and some would just sell thousands of units in a few hours. Now, what I typically see is some absolutely flop and don't take off at all, but some will hit. So it's worth a shot. Be ready to potentially cancel some deal slots as well. You can lock in different weeks, see what's happening. I believe as long as you cancel within 48 hours, I would go a little bit more than that to be safe. Then you won't be charged for the lightning deal price, but those do and can take off and light fire and potentially sell 1,000 units in a day or whatever your allocation amount is, but it is possible. Now, this next point is something I've been urging people to do during Q4 for several years now. And if, by the way, you want more content about Q4 after this, I'll try to link some up, or just search Matt Loberstein Q4 on YouTube and you'll see my prior year videos, and it all still will apply. So I definitely encourage you to do that. But this tip is to understand how the overall traffic is dramatically different during these peak times, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and all the way into Christmas. And quick interjection, something I forgot to mention is what you'll always see, just sort of your flow of sales, is you'll see huge peaks for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and then it will dip down, and then it will climb and climb and climb and climb until about December 21st. That's what I've always seen. So it just escalates and escalates and escalates as you get closer. And I'll circle back to a big tip on that in just a moment, but I got a little sidetracked. Back to the main thing that you need to understand is how the traffic is different in a few ways, and you need to understand this to be able to take advantage of it. So first off, the traffic that is available to you on Amazon is much higher buyer intent during these times. And that is because people are actively shopping for gifts. They're actively looking for things to buy. So this means that you'll see conversion rates, especially for giftable products, go crazy. Conversion rate meaning out of X number of traffic, how many people actually end up purchasing. So you'll see that percentage increase a lot, which is already dramatic. Now, you have to also pair that with the fact that there's more traffic in general because more people are going to shop. And so either of these on its own, let's say either one of the two factors were to double, that would double your output. But the reality is that both things are going on. So there's both more traffic, meaning your ads are being spent faster. There's more available ad slots. So you might be able to pick up some cheap slots once everybody gets, bidded and auctioned out. Then you can pick up these other PPC slots and all of that, but also that every potential click, every potential eyeball on your listing has a bit more buyer intent than usual and is more likely to pull the trigger and order your product. So you have to have everything already prepared. Of course, most of this is already done. Having the great offer, having an enticing sales page in every single way possible. Those things are absolutely key here and can just rocket your conversion rate through the roof as the traffic is also increased. And so let's circle back to what I said a few minutes ago about it kind of increasing through the end of the season. And this will also be a great tip for people that maybe you don't have thousands of units left in stock. Maybe you're trying to maximize what you do have and you're worried about going out of stock even. In that case, you'll often hear that, you don't want to slow your sales down too much because you'll kill momentum and your listing will die and all of that. And then when you relaunch with new inventory, it's going to have low momentum because you slowed it down before going out of stock. And there is truth to that. But if you pair that with this high buyer intent and high traffic, if your product is flying anyways, you can often raise your price significantly without really slowing it down at all. And your conversion rates are already crazy high. So if you feel like you're going to go out of stock anyways, and it's only, December 7th or something, then you really need to think about stretching that inventory at least to that end of that season, and you can potentially double your profits or so if you're working your price up and seeing how that affects your velocity and not going too crazy in either direction. You don't want to just fly out your inventory in 5 minutes, but you also don't want to slow it down to a halt to where your listing does die. Both of those would be mistakes. But I find if your product is flying and you don't have enough inventory, then now is the time to take some extra profits, and you might as well cash in and go into the next restock strong. So with Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming into Christmas, I hope that these were valuable tips for you to implement this season, and also to be able to look further into the future and really be extra prepared for next year, because this is something you do need to be thinking about when nobody's thinking about it, right? Everyone starts talking about Q4 towards this time, but the time to think about it is much earlier potentially. The best place to be by Q4 is to be already established. And if this video was helpful to you, please do hit the like button and leave comments on this video. Those things really do help the YouTube algorithm and potentially show this video out to new people and grow the channel. So if that is you, if you are new, be sure to subscribe to the channel for future videos. Check out all the past videos, including those other Q4 tip videos from prior years, which still apply for more help on this. And that said, I hope this helped, and see you next video.